Question. Yes, sir.
My friend keeps saying that we live in the bowels of the earth here in Liverpool, and it's the toughest place on the planet to make money.
I don't agree with that. Every place is tough. If you don't try, you don't swing at the plate.
The question is, how do we forgive ourselves for not making a go of it?
You're never gonna. You're always gonna. You're never. It's like you're not gonna ever be able to erase your data bank from that shit from you. You're gonna know. But your saving grace is you can still do it. The fact that you pissed away the hardest thing for QLA when you read the website, you have to come to the realization that you've wasted your entire fucking life so far. That's the realization you got to come to. You wasted every fucking breath that you've taken. You might as well have rolled down the inside of your mama's leg. Once you get over that, the rest is easy. It's okay that you pissed your life away. It's okay that you slept with that piece of shit. It's okay that you had kids when you didn't want. That's all okay. I can't do anything for what you did already. What I can do is this is the first day of the rest of your life. That I can do. And I'm very good at it. Arguably, I'm the best on the planet when measuring by equity and value. Now, do I make you feel good about yourself? No, because I don't give a fuck. And either does Elon. He doesn't give a fuck. He just wants you to buy those. Oh, the car. What's the name of his car?
Tesla.
Okay. Now I want you, we try to think about this real clearly. The first electric car was about 1845. The first fucking electric car was 1845. That's 150, 60 or 60 years ago, okay? Do you think if the planet really wanted electric cars, they could have done some shit about it? Until Elon stepped up and put his foot up the arse of the automobile industry. The first car was electric! Wake up! Jesus Christ! And if you think that petroleum cars are going to go away anytime soon, you're retarded! It's going to go away when the king of Saudi Arabia decides it's going to go away. That's when the fuck it's going to go away. What do you guys smoke? And by the way, I have weed mentees. I probably know more about the weed industry than anybody in this room. Don't do weed, but I know a lot about it. And I know a lot of high performance people use it. I'm not suggesting you do that. Okay. Yes, sir.
Can you talk about your experience and success in
Selling. Well, I'm just a salesman, and a lot of people, well-educated people, don't like to hear me say this. And it's probably why a lot of big-time universities don't let me speak. It's because I'm just a peddler, an insurance peddler, pots and pans peddler that took his sales skills to the highest level. And I'm proud of being a salesman. And Warren Buffett and I have one thing in common. He and I both took the same sales basic training class together. Not together, but the same school, Dale Carnegie's Selling Class 101. He took it in the 60s and I took it in the early 70s. Because he couldn't give away a piece of ass to a lumberman. I mean, he couldn't sell worth of shit. I thought I could sell because I was very, very good with ladies. And I thought I got more ass than a toilet seat at a fucking bus station. I mean, they would have to replace the toilet seats as much sex that I got. But I thought that was selling. But I was attracted to the opposite sex. Would make my sale easier. I thought I could sell anything. I learned quickly that I couldn't sell anything until I took some professional sales classes. Now my kids, my current mentees say that the Wolf of Wall Street guy, his sales program is pretty good. I've never taken it, but they say it's pretty good. But I've had kids just recently take the Dale Carnegie. It's a 3-day course now. When I took it, it was about $180. Now it's like $600 or $800. It's not cheap. But I don't know what it is in the UK in pounds. But it's a 3-day course. But it's very, very good. But learning how to sell, learning how to communicate. That's why I want you to take Toastmasters. I've got a kid, a mentee, an Australian kid, who was president of Toastmasters 2016. He couldn't talk before he stuttered. He bloody stuttered. I mean, communication and your ability to convey your idea, because leadership is me getting you to do what I want you to do when I want you to do it, not when you wake up and decide to do it. And in that regard, my military background, 50 years ago, June 1st, I was commissioned a young lieutenant. And in their infinite wisdom, the United States Congress deemed Dan S. Pena a officer and a gentleman by the act of the Congress. That's the only high performance thing I'd ever done. Getting thrown in jail, beating up people and shit like that isn't high performance, although I was pretty good at that. But I mean, so, and I took it seriously. And so I used that lever and leadership skills that for most kids that come to me are piss poor. But because leadership, nobody teaches you leadership. Unless you go to one of the military academies, you go to Sandhurst here in the UK. Well, who teaches leadership? Nobody. But it shows you how feeble you are because you buy off on these kids that don't know fuck all about leadership. Because you're so desperate. You want to think that there's an easy way. I tell you, it's almost impossible. And you're going to fail. But if you got the tenacity, if you got the focus, you got the commitment, and you really want it more than life itself, you can do it. And I'm a living example of that. Yes, sir.
Is it better when you're bored and going after money to go regional or to go straight to London and get the money?
It depends on the deal. Practice regional, then go to London. The city, as it's called. I guess it's still called that. But I thought the city, with all its pompous bullshit, was just like taking candy from a baby. I mean, fuck. They sit around and talk like Shazad, you know, when you're going, actually, we've taken the decision to, but that's how they talk. Today, it's unfucking believable. And there's hardly anybody in the city that still remembers me. But the few that still remember me are afraid of me. I remember a guy with a pompous name, an Etonian. He was 11th generation Etonian. Now in America, that doesn't mean shit. For those Britons here, you know what 11th generation Etonian means. And he said, actually, we've taken the decision, if you're intelligent about it, you shouldn't be afraid of Mr. Pena. He's not the one I choked, though. Or I allegedly choked. Allegedly. I should have choked him in hindsight, but there's another question. Yes, sir. Oh, wait. Yes, sir.
Was it going to the military, or was it the gentleman who worked for Onassis that defined?
No. I was defined as a leader, a high performance person, being commissioned, a barrio bad boy. But when I got out of the military, I went back to school. I went to school and I graduated with a 4-year degree in 2.5 years. I graduated with honors. All I had was F's before. Graduated with honors. Then I went to Wall Street, and I had the presence of mind the first time Mr. Onassis was dead by that time. I had the presence of mind when Costa Grazia, the CEO of the Onassis group, I saw him in a room, and I hunted him down the next few days, and this is before big buildings had security and all that stuff. I just go door to door until I found his office. Dealing with the Vatican, and all the stories you hear about the Vatican are all true. They're crooked as shit. Vatican Bank, anyway. But I had the self-esteem, to go in and hunt down the CEO of Onassis Group. I had the self-esteem to, arguably to take an option public when everybody told me you couldn't. I had the self-esteem to go to Freshfields, which they should have taken me on as a client like they need AIDS. They shouldn't have. Or they say in Scotland, they shouldn't have. But I had that self-esteem. And self-esteem builds more self-esteem. When I'm not successful at something, I can't hardly fucking believe it. I'm overwhelmed. I'm gobsmacked. I don't believe it. I don't believe the email. That's some bullshit. And get them on. What are you, crazy? And because I'm successful so much, although I failed at 22 different new deals that I'll wake up in the middle and I'll write that down. That sounds like something I should try. And it didn't work. A lot of the shit doesn't work. But if you don't swing at the plate, guys and gals, You can't possibly. You got another question?
Sorry, no one stays on top forever, but you seem to be the exception.
No. I've been from the penthouse to the shit house 2-3 times, and one time it cost me about $400 million. Every time it always costs me for some reason in the hundreds of millions, but I've made more than I've ever lost. But now I'm not interested in that. I'm living vicariously, if you will, through your successes, and some of your successes are pretty fucking overwhelming. I mean, we had a kid do a $1 billion blind pool energy deal here a couple months ago against all odds. I mean, right now, I mean, there are industries that, it's all on my website, it's all on my YouTube, etc., that are just itching for people to get involved and make a lot of money. And what's better now is you can do 85% of all the work via the internet. Before you had to use shoe leather. I still believe in the final analysis, you got it face to face. But there are kids that get these deals done just on the internet. Because you lack, as a generation and a half, you lack the social skills, you lack communication skills, you lack, the balls, whatever you want to call it, to go face to face. For those of you in the audience that think that you have face to face skills, I mean, this will be like shooting fish in a barrel. It'll be like taking candy from a baby, which is, I got in a big trouble with a mama's club, a fucking got on my ass about taking candy from a baby. That's a saying, I'm not subscribing to you go slap a little kid about taking his fucking candy. But I mean, I get crazy shit, people with death threats. What are you talking about? I don't mean it that way. I mean, it's easy. It's easy. And, but we have all the templates, all the tools. I mean, on my website, how do you get the fucking money? It's the least used link on my site. The next one is deal flow. How do you create deal flow? Do you have to be an alpha male? The answer is no, but I got a whole podcast about it. 98% of all the high performance people in the world are not alpha males. They're on Henry Kissinger, Richard Branson, although he's pretty tough. But I mean, they're at the other end of the continuum. There's only a few of us at the alpha male end of the continuum. Steve Ballmer, the former CEO of Microsoft, Donald Trump, myself, of course, the famous General Patton from the American military. Those are the guys that they talk about. But I mean, any of you can do it if you want to. And one other thing, I hear all the time, my spouse or my partner is supportive. That's bullshit. They're only supportive as long as it's convenient for them. Then they become unfucking supportive. There was a question. Yes, sir.
In a previous interview, you said something about Donald Trump he's going to mess up the economy and then build it up again.
No, I don't know. He's going to mess up your vision of the economy. Because, I mean, he didn't get elected because other than everybody's unhappy in America. Not dissimilar to what happened with Brexit, although you can argue that Brexit was kind of an accident. But anyway, I listed 20 things that Donald Trump was going to do his first 1,000 days as president. He did 17 of them. He's a smart guy. When they say he's got the richest cabinet in history, he's also got the smartest cabinet in history by 20 points, IQ points. I mean, he's a smart guy. You may not like the way he talks, but he doesn't talk dissimilar to me. When he's not on the camera, he sounds like, you heard me today? That's what he sounds like. That's what he sounds like. Yes, sir.
So you shared some wisdom before about the things that distract us, like social media and keep us from being laser focused. What are some of the things you could replace on a daily, weekly basis? Little actions that you can start taking as in next week.
Have a routine. Have a weekly routine. Use, let's say you start with Sunday. Use half a Sunday for the planning for the rest of the week. Have at least 5 scheduled times that you're going to exercise. Because exercise is important. Not to get a six-pack, but just to, keep the adrenaline flowing in your body. Do the hardest things first in the day. The things that you don't want to do first. And we've all got a list like that. Do those first. Make a list that's longer than the day. Let's say that on average you can get to 8 to 12 things done a day. Have 15 to 20 things on the list. If you get through the 15 or 20, you're fucked up. Your time management is not right. I never get through my list for a day. I've always got to overlap to the next day. And sometimes to the next week. But I put the hardest, toughest, highest priority items first. Because I don't want to wiggle away from those. And I'll make 5 phone calls. And the 6th phone call should have been the first phone call. But nobody gives bad news better than I do. And there's never an easy time to make a hard decision. It's not going to be easy when you tell your partner you're going to kick them to the curb. There's no fucking easy time. There just isn't. So what happens if you don't do it? 1 year, 5 years, 15 years, 18 years later, the same old hag or the same old tub of shit. But I mean, the one book, Joe Batten, who's a former partner of mine, he was a mentor of Ross Perot. He wrote 2 books, both terrific. Tough-minded management and tough-minded leadership. You never have to read another book on leadership, or you never have to read another book on management. Tough-minded management, tough-minded leadership by Joe Batten. Terrific books. And he was a terrific guy, and I had the pleasure of being in business with him for a while. Really a good guy. Not a nice guy, a good guy. A good guy. Yes, sir.
How do I manage death threats?
Death threats?
Yeah.
How do I?
How do I, or like, how do we?
Oh, well, I mean, I go to their house myself personally. I go to their house, and, well, most death threats aren't real. And as soon as I say that, some guy will go shoot him in the head. But well, you're supposed to, I don't do this. You're supposed to tell the police and that kind of stuff. But I've always dealt with it myself. I haven't done that. But I call the police. And I know there's bullying now, which is I think bullying's not funny. But I think it's funny. Because you bully online now. Why? I can't even find the words that come out of my mouth. And I can say how anybody could be afraid of anything anybody says online. I mean, I don't, but I know a whole generation and a half, and there's kids that commit suicide over it. There's a court thing in America right now. A girl told a guy to go kill himself. He went and killed himself. Now she's going to jail for 20 fucking years. A girl told a guy, go kill yourself. So he goes, don't you see how fucked up that is? I mean, if I went and committed suicide every time, said, go kill yourself. Well, I mean, I've been dead 1,000 times, 30 years ago. But now, because we're so sensitive, our skin is so tender, we can't take, what we really can't take, we can't take the truth. Now, most bullying is not the truth. But hey, fat ass, I mean, Polly does have a fat ass. That's not right. I'm not promoting or condoning or any of that. But go get a 6-pack if you don't like it. Oh, that's too much work. I just have a fat ass. That's the truth of the matter. Yes, sir. In the back.
I just want to know what was going through your head when you decided to change, like the shit situation you're in when you started off. You didn't have the best start.
That's an understatement. Yeah.
Yeah, but we can always say, I wish it was better. I wish it was better. You tried. What was that moment in your head when you kind of?
Oh, I'm in the Army. I'm second lieutenant, first lieutenant. I wasn't the top of my class. I graduated in the middle class. But, I'm in charge of $100 million in the military. No place to get overtrained with less education than the military. And I come up with an idea, and computers were brand new in the 60s. I came up with an idea to save $11 million for NATO. $11 million. Paper shuffling, basically. And I got a $50 war bond as a prize. $50 war bond, U.S. government war bond, you could buy for $6.75. So if I kept that $6.75 war bond for 30 fucking years, it's worth $50. And a 3-star general, he was just about to make his 3rd-star general, Woodrow Bonds, we're at the officers club, and now they don't even have officers club. Now they mix enlisted men with officers. Right, Sarge? Yeah. Okay. And he says, Danny, I mean, it's all over post. I was in a lot of trouble. I used to do a lot of shit, But anyway, what's all over post? General, he says, you got an award. I'm going to be giving you an award in 4 or 5 weeks. For what? The war bond. And that embarrassed me. $6, but it's a big, getting any kind of chicken shit. And then he said, another general, General Roy Atterbury, he said to me, I saw the other side, he says, Danny, you could probably make a lot of money out in the civilian world. And a light bulb went off. Because I was in there to be a career Army officer. A light bulb like this went over my fucking head. Make a lot of money in the civilian world. Boom! And the rest is history. I got out, and then I had to go and kiss the ass of a bunch of senior officers. I just gone regular Army, now I got to get out of that. And so it took me about 5 months, and then I got discharged, and I went back to school. And then they wouldn't accept me in any university that was worth a shit. I couldn't get in. They looked straight F's, D's. Oh, I got a C there. What the fuck happened? And so I had to get on a special permission by the registrar of the school I went to finally, on probation to get in. And got back to school and went back to school. And I took the normal load in American universities is 12 units. I took 26 units a semester. Worked, taught, did all kind of shit. Drank, got fucked up, chased girls. Had plenty of time for all that. That's why we have guys that have 50 to 60 hour a week regular jobs, and they do QLA 50, 60 hours a week. That kid, young kid, Josh, that was sitting there on the with a 3-piece suit on. He had a regular job, programmer. He taught himself how to program over the weekend to get a job in Silicon Valley. And he worked QLA 50, 60 hours a week. But guys, if you can't, I've got guys in the seminar from Sweden and places like that, they work 24, 28 hours a week. I know lawyers, early in their practice life, you can pray 5 times a day and still work 70 hours a week. Which, and now in this country with the EU, what is it, 36? How many hours?
45.
45? That's the max you can work. What's the minimum?
36.
36? Oh, fuck. That dog doesn't hunt. It just doesn't hunt. I still work 50, 60 hours a week. When I said that at Oxford, I thought the little kids were going to just fall off their chairs. Now, this is one. I have not had to work in 35 years. I have not had to work 35 years. People ask me, how do you get up in the morning? I've had everything that all the goodies, whatever, for about 30 years. I've gone through the planes and the boats and that kind of thing. But I'm obsessed about this thing now, pulling you assholes over the goal line, because you're going to make me, it's going to be Jesus and Pena. And Jesus didn't do shit, really. I can walk on the water now. I haven't tried the bread and the wine bit, but I'll work on that. Oh, speaking of that, I'm at Dave Asprey's deal. I didn't know what a chakra was. If it bit me in the dick, I didn't know what that meant. I've never meditated 100 millionth of a second my whole life. So I go in to see Joe DeCina, who he just interviewed me a couple weeks ago. And I got there early, and they had some shaman guru, and Jesus was up there, and he was doing all kinds of shit. I got there early. So I'm standing in the back, Sally's here, one of my mentees is next to me, and I'm dressed just like this, and everybody else looks even worse than you. They were dressed. And he said, we're going to do one final deal. We're going to do, I couldn't exactly hear him, but something about third chakra. And so I turn around, I'm going to walk out, and Sally said, well, let's try it. And I said, fuck it, the guy's a fake. Anyway, so everybody stands up, assumes the position. I didn't know what that meant. Assume the position, to me, is the girl's bent over like this, a sink. But that's not what they meant. Because anyway, Sally's not into sex in front of people anyway, so what the fuck am I going to do? Well, okay, so So they all stand with their legs about like this, and to me it looked like they're hugging a tree. So I assumed this position, and he was doing incantations, and he says some mumbo jumbo, and then he asked us to do some mumbo jumbo, and I apparently I heard him good enough to repeat it, and then I said, Sally, I can see the asshole with my eyes closed. And then Chris, who's on this side, he says, no way. I go, yeah, he's dancing around back and forth, left to right. How can I see him with my eyes closed? And then the people that are right go fucking bonkers. And I had apparently opened up, and the people all wanted to touch me. Get away from me. Unless you're a girl with big tits and you're on your back, don't fucking touch me. I've been saying that for 40, 50 years. Okay, so we did it, and that's it. I didn't think anything of it. And we left, and so I went to visit some friends of ours who attended my first seminar in May 1993, 24 years ago, and she had died. She'd been pronounced dead, dead 18, 20 minutes, and she didn't come back to life. So I wanted to go see Mary. So we're in their big mansion house, and we're sitting in the kitchen. She's about where Blondie is, sitting right there, and she's in the back of the kitchen. I'm here with a glass of red wine, and I said, well, what's this thing about you being dead? She says, yeah, I was dead 18, 20 minutes, and they brought me back. I said, well, fuck. And I said, well, how did it happen? She says, well, I fell dead at my rehearsal dinner of her son dinner. She fell right into the dessert, dead. So they had 2, 3 doctors there. They tried to bring her back to life, and they broke 4 or 5 of her ribs, trying to, pound her heart into movement again. And the paramedics come, and they take her puff. She's dead. They put her in the ambulance, and they're driving her away. And there was a senior paramedic and a junior paramedic. The junior paramedic is, I'm practicing. Can I have a go? Now, what I thought they meant, little necrophiliac. I thought that's what they were going to do. But she's a good-looking fucking woman. Still a good-looking woman. But that's not what they meant. They said they're going to jolt her a couple more times. The third jolt, she sat up and fucking was alive. So now she's dead 25 fucking minutes. So she says, I know what you want to ask me, Dan. That's the only reason you're over here. What did I see? That's right. I didn't see any bright lights. Well, I said, you're not going to heaven. You're going to fucking hell. I know you a long time. There's no question about that. But what did you see? And she said, I saw every regret since I'm born till I fell dead in my son's rehearsal dinner flashed before me in 100 millionth of a second. Every fucking regret she ever had. We're all energy, kids. Every fucking regret she ever fucking had, she saw in a millionth of a second flash before her. And that's what I've been telling people for 50 fucking years. And the only reason I'm going to find out is if I got to die myself first and be brought back. So if you think that when you die, it's all over, it ain't. And Steve Jobs knew that. So every miserable cunt-like thing you did in your miserable fucking life is going to haunt you the rest of eternity. And then she said, do the chakra shit for me. Well, I said, I shared, now you got to share. And I said, I never did. I said, I don't know how to do it again. And then Sally, a couple of glasses, okay, so I go, and it happened again. And she says, no way. I said, yes, but I haven't done it since. Now I get emails almost daily inviting me to shit, to go whatever those people do. But there's no fucking, I don't care. I'm never going to do it again. But when you think you have no limits to your abilities, guess what? You have no fucking limits to your abilities. You've been raised to only have limits. I tell the story about the big 6'8", 300-pound guy that by the grace of God didn't break my neck at the Muhammad Ali Cassius Clay fight. Anyway, make a long story short, we chased him in our 2 cars. We chased him for 2 or 3 hours. We caught him. His car was on a rock, and he couldn't get away from us. He gets out of the car. I go, fuck, you fucked up, can you? Because I'm not afraid of anybody. I'm just not. But this guy, so what would you do? Well, like I just hit him as hard as I could without, he was trying to apologize to me. I hit him, and by the grace of Allah, he twisted his ankle and fell down this cliff and dislocated his fucking shoulder blade. So he crawls up the cliff with his shoulder down here. Now I'm getting around. Now, I'm going to show this guy now. I'm going to beat him like a Renegade. And the big guy's still being nice. And the guys in the car with him, the big guy said, "Oh, leave him alone, kid. I mean, he's trying to apologize. He's lucky today." By the grace of. Fast forward 3 months. I'm at the USC Nebraska football game. I'm sitting in the bleachers drinking like you're not supposed to drink in the Coliseum. And a guy puts his hand on my shoulder like a big fucking meat hook, about 3 hands wide, on this shoulder. I'm telling the story just like I'm telling you. And he said, "Actually, I also broke my this." And I look up. Now he's standing in the bleachers, right? So now he's 12 feet tall. 12 feet tall. And, but his arm's like this, in a sling. So I figured, well, I can jump on that sling and rip his arm out again. So, but he was a nice guy. But all things being equal, and life's not equal, he should have ripped my head off and killed me. And see, you'd still be apologizing to the guy. But what I learned is the best defense is a good offense. I learned that from the hood. So I don't care how big you were, who you were, the first thing that Danny Pena did, is hit you right in the fucking mouth. And I've gotten away with my life like that for a long, long time. I should be dead by now. Got run over by buffalo in Australia, charging buffalo, lived to talk about it. I mean, killed a bear with a fucking knife. I done some crazy shit. I should be dead. I'll die when I feel like it. And that's not anytime soon. There's another question. Yes, sir.
How do I act like a good mentee, and how many past seminars do you have left?
Well, I mean, if I don't die tonight.
Sorry, just 1 second. I think that was our last question. We need to clear up the room.
Okay.
But yeah, thank you very much. Go on.
Okay. Oh, before I answer that question, this is the final slide. Somebody put it up for me. This is you. And this is what you have to go through to accomplish anything in life. Got to get through your relatives, your friends, the pessimists, your own fucking guilt, your own fear, society. And that's why very little gets accomplished. And to answer your question, we have next seminar is in August. After that, I don't know. I only plan one at a time. I'm not planning on retiring anytime soon. And I'm pretty healthy, so I'm not going to die anytime soon. But now, and I don't take on any individual clients other than once in a while, and I get paid 5,000 pounds an hour. So that kind of limits it. But I still get clients. People are willing to pay that. I don't know why, but they do. I tell you, when I hire me for 5,000, go on my website for free first. Study my website for a month or 2 months. But that's the next seminar, and we mentor all the kids for a year. We have a few examples in here of the mentor program in the. But I mean, it's just stand up in 30 seconds. Just tell them how easy it is. Our program.
30 seconds?
No, tell them because I don't want them to come. So convince them to come.
It is fucked up. I mean, I have no idea what you sign an name to if you actually do decide to go, and it's tough to describe. I mean, whatever I say, you wouldn't be able to relate unless you've been through some kind of real shit in your life. Is that enough?
Yeah, that's good. He's okay, yeah.
It's like a boot camp. It's like a boot camp for being successful. Like, if you haven't done anything successful in your fucking life, it just changes your reality. Like, I was a sergeant in the Army, in the Air Force, not doing shit, in the desert, watching this man on TV. And then I instantly was able to communicate, negotiate, get out of my contract as soon as I got back. And I was able to move from Alaska to Palo Alto. Now I own a private equity firm. I have a venture capital fund. It happens like that. That's what this program does. Program does. That's why I flew out here. That's why I paid money to come out here and see Dan. He's not going to be around much longer. I realize that. But I flew out here for that reason. Whatever it takes to change your life. He's telling you the truth. He's doing God's work. He changed my life. He told me the truth about my father. I'm adopted. I'm a crackhead baby. And I have a business. I have a venture capital fund. I said, you know what? I'm going to fuck into it. I can be anything I fucking want. I ain't going to be Martin Luther King. I ain't going to be like Jay-Z. I'm going to be like Carlin Johnson. And I'm going to change my vision of the world. So he's doing outstanding things. And you really all should listen to his message. And if you get the opportunity, take that chance. I had a best friend in Hawaii tell me through text message, like, you got to listen to this motherfucking damn thing. So,
Another brother, though. He's another brother.
yeah, he's another brother. And he said stuff at first. I'm like, this dude just called me what? So, well, he breaks it down. That's that mental barrier. It's mental barrier. That's why you're not achieving shit. That's why you're not going anywhere in life. You know, become the best human being you can be on this planet. I mean, we're here to change the planet. I mean, all these millennials here, we got the internet. What are we doing? We're sitting around doing nothing, not making change. All these startup communities, nobody's communicating with each other. We don't even know how to have a conversation with each other. Let's change the planet. Let's actually do something.
Okay, thank you. Okay, kids. One final note. It is hard. But I mean, it's hard. Only 99.999% of all the kids that have been benefited from QLA, I've never met. This is only the fourth time I've been out of the castle since 2000, the year 2000. And if it wasn't for his grit and tenacity, little shit up here, I mean, I wouldn't be here because I don't normally speak to melonheads like you. You know, but I'm glad I did it, and it's another arrow in my quiver of being able to spread the word for QLA, and that's why I speak for nothing. I got nothing to sell. I didn't come to the seminar, but I mean they're pretty much fully booked. But we change lives. But if you're not in the mood for a real change, a real diametric change your life, you know, don't bother. I mean, Elon Musk is a wacko. He's a great wacko, but he's a fucking wacko. You know, and if you don't have wacko in you, then you know, I wouldn't do it. But anyway, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.